Mark Harling with Bean Trailer, and we're in an undisclosed location in Sanpete County, Utah, and we're here with BugOut Bean. And let me tell you what created BugOut Bean. When I was rudely awakened 2 weeks ago by an earthquake in the middle of a coronavirus epidemic, then I felt vulnerable, and I felt like my family was vulnerable, and I thought about something that I'd never thought about before in my entire lifetime, and that was preparedness. And I thought to myself, if that earthquake had been a 7, an 8, and my home had been damaged, or if there was a fire that went through the foothills and burned our house down, what would I do, and how would I be prepared? And so that got me thinking about the concept of BugOut Bean, and that's what I've prepared. This is my interpretation of what a BugOut Bean is, with the assumption that you're going to have to be away from your house for 2 weeks and potentially even longer. And what we wanted to do is to create this BugOut Bean, but we also wanted somebody who was an expert to evaluate it and see how we did. And we couldn't have found a better expert than Jim Phillips. Jim Phillips has over 50 years of experience in preparedness, and he's consulted with the military, and he's lectured all over the world. And so, Jim, it's going to be really hard for me to sit back and not defend myself on the stuff that I packed up, but I really do. I think there's a huge learning opportunity to see really what's important and what's not important when you're thinking about bugging out in a small trailer or in your vehicle.
Yeah, okay. I understand. And by the way, one of the things that's really critical, I'm glad the events got your attention. And that's one of the things that maybe people need to be thinking about more, because, well, I've been going up to the stores and seeing the people on lines and buying what have you. I just go through to take pictures is all I do, because we've been working at this for a while, and my hope is that people will understand things happen. In fact, my moniker that I've said for many years in classes is there's no doubt that tomorrow will come, and there's no dispute that things happen, but how you're prepared to meet tomorrow will make all the difference in the world. If you're prepared for the worst, then no matter what happens, it will be an adventure. I like adventures over struggling to survive and wondering if you're going to make it. So to me, it's about just being prepared to deal with life, because life does in fact happen. So I'm glad that happened to you, because that's good.
I'm not sure I'm glad it happened to me, Jim.
So it's about upping your understanding and your knowledge, and then it is about accumulating appropriate things. One of the other things that we get into, and I'll talk about this, because there's a lot of great things here I see, but the other message I want people to understand is you have to go from where you are with what you have and your resources, and then you keep doing it, right. Which might mean, well, cancel the Disneyland. Well, it's canceled right now, you don't have to worry about that one, but anyway, you turn some of these things off. It's about priorities. My family is more important. Maybe the big screen TV, maybe the around the world cruise, maybe the satellite TV, and maybe those are not quite as important, where I can take that $20, $30, $40, $50 a month and put it into accumulating things that I understand would really help me not suffer. Hey Richard, will you remind me after what he just said for us to hide the satellite dish in the TV? We figured that was essential. We figured that was essential preparedness. All right, without further ado, Jim, I'm really grateful for you to do this, and Richard, who you guys have all met, we're going to switch positions here, and I'll be the cameraman, and Richard will walk you through Bean and describe what he knows and what he sees.
Yeah. So this is our Bean stock. This is our entry-level off-road trailer. It has a 10-degree pitch torsion axle. It was really fun actually coming up the canyon with the trailer. It was a little muddy. You can see we had a tough time kind of getting it into this spot, but it handled really well. Kind of the main kind of characteristics of this trailer, and Bean trailer in specific, is that it is a one-piece unibody construction. There's no seams along the roof line of the trailer. So in terms of preparedness, you're not going to have to worry about water intrusion related issues. But today we wanted to focus on some of the accessories that we had on the trailer. So Mark, if you want to come over here, in terms of emergency preparedness, especially utilizing a teardrop trailer like Bean, one of the great things that we have, and especially if you're going to be 2 weeks without power, one of the great accessories that we have is this Zamp 140 watt solar panel system. Mark, if you come around here on the back, the great thing that we love about this solar panel system is that it does have a charge controller, so it will give you the reading based off of your solar, and then also tell you about your battery capacity and where you stand. The other kind of thing that, just talking with Mark in terms of emergency preparedness on the trailer, one of the things that he desperately needed and wanted to take with him was his mountain bike to be able to use as transportation. He may run out of gas in his tow vehicle, and so he wanted a way to be able to get around. To be able to accommodate the mountain bikes on the trailer, we utilize an Alta rack that can be installed. We have a vertical 2-inch receiver here on the front of the trailer, which makes it really nice. This is a 4-pack setup, so you can have 4 bikes if you have a small family to be able to accommodate the bikes.
Let me add a thought to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because one of the things that you're always trying to do in being ready to deal with things is you want to have a backup to your backup that backs up your backup that backs up your backup.
Yeah.
So that is good thinking on those things, because you can always walk. That's my ultimate backup, is I can walk. But walking is slower than a bike, which is slower than a motorized vehicle, which is slower than a vehicle. So yes, wise thing to do. Everybody think in terms of backup, your backup, and you always have a plan B and C and D and E and F in everything that you do.
The other kind of main feature on all of the Bean trailers that I really like is this front luggage pan. It has the dimple die construction so that you can do tie downs. So we're featuring it here on the front with the gas tanks that are tied down. But you can put firewood, you can put additional water, really just limitless, the opportunities that you have to be able to load additional gear here on the front of the trailer. Mark, if you want to come over here, and then I'm going to just show just a quick tour of the inside. I know some customers are interested. So the Beanstalk features the operable window inside of the door, and then all of the Bean trailers have this upper cubby for additional storage, LED push lighting, dual USBs. This trailer has the vent fan system with the deluxe remote, and then again all of your storage, including the Trofast system. And then all the shelves. So plenty of storage if you're getting ready to bug out for 2 weeks. Just a great, really nice setup with the trifold mattress. If it is raining while you're out, you can fold up the mattress into a couch so you can sit inside. So you do have some provisions to be able to hunker down inside of the trailer if it's raining or if it's stormy. While you're out on your bug out adventure. So let's move on to the back, and I'll show you guys our stove setup. So Jim, this is our base plus galley configuration. This is one of our entry level galley configuration. So it has the partner still 18-inch slide out stove. It's a lock in and a lockout system that's fueled by our 10-pound propane tank. And then it comes with 2 7-gallon aquatainers with the sink that's collapsible. So dual purpose, dual use. You can use it to be able to wash up or get water from our stream that's just right here along the way. But yeah, this is our setup. So one of the fun things that we're gonna do is we're gonna go through and look at all of the, I'm gonna start with junk that Mark ended up bringing. Jim and I were going to critique some of the items that he ended up bringing, and see what he has. Let's see how well he's gonna be able to survive for 2 weeks.
Where do you want to start? You want to start back here in the galley?
Yeah, let's start back here in the galley.
Okay.
So
do you want to point out the obvious? No fridge?
Yeah, so the first thing that I saw was right here. This is such a cool slide out system, but it's typically designed for a cooler or a fridge freezer. But the first thing that I saw, there's nothing here. So I kind of scratched my head for a second. So Mark, what was your thinking in terms of not having a fridge or a cooler here?
My thinking was, where am I going to get ice? But of course, there's snow all over here. And the other thing is that anything that was going to be perishable was going to be fool's gold to bring. So I'd rather take the space up with bulk items that would provide protein and energy.
Okay, so let's show some of those items that Mark ended up bringing.
And let me just comment on that too, because I would agree with that thought. If you try to bring a fridge or something that takes either fuel or electricity, now you're consuming resources that are going to become precious very, very quickly. A cooler, an insulated cooler, could be nice to put things in the hold for a little while or keep them out of, right now it's kind of cool and this is nice. What if this was the middle of summer and we were someplace else where it's blazing hot? You may want a place to keep things a little bit cool for a while. So a cooler makes sense, but any kind of a magic fridge that runs on gas or power or fuel or anything like that, unnecessary as far as I'm concerned, because it's going to consume some of your precious resources you need for other things. So I'm happy with that.
So you guys are good with just fresh game. So some fresh fish. Maybe there's some elk or deer around here that you'll be able to get.
And if you get something like that, you're going to process it in a way so that it doesn't have to be refrigerated, because that's a luxury but an unnecessary thing to refrigerate.
Awesome.
Yeah. So can I explain the rice and beans?
Yeah, let's see it. Okay.
So I'm Cuban, man. Like, I know that you can survive on just rice and beans. I've spent a significant portion of my life with rice and beans. So, of course, I'm Cuban. They have to be black beans.
Now this, in the premise was this is good for 2 weeks, is what
2
we
weeks.
said here.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now one of the things about having, and by the way, having, I'll say, basic things like that, you can get a lot for your money, but it can get real tiring after a while. We call it, appetite fatigue.
Right.
The way you overcome that is with some of the spices and things you'd put with it, so you can vary it. It's kind of like the old joke, well, anything's better with garlic. Put enough garlic on it, you can eat anything, or chili or something like that. So when people are trying to keep the cost down, freeze-dried things are wonderful, great to have, really expensive.
Right.
Go with the basics to begin with, because you're building a lifeboat to start with. Once you get the lifeboat and you're not drowning in the ocean, now you can put up a sail and you can put up an awning and things like that. So begin with the basics and then always add to it is one of the things you can do. So basics are good.
Yeah. Okay.
So talk to us about the whey. Is this kind of just a breakfast item that you were thinking of? To stop some of that fatigue of the rice and beans?
By the way, Jim, the other thing that stops, what'd you call it? What kind of fatigue?
Appetite fatigue.
Appetite fatigue is hunger.
Yeah. The exception to that, in a way, is now sometimes young children can be extremely stubborn once they make their mind. They don't want something, they don't like it, and they'll darn near starve themselves to death.
There's no McDonald's out here? What are you talking about? I've got a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old at home.
Right.
So
anyway, Richard, you asked me about the protein powder. I just thought it would be a simple way, because all you need is water to supplement your protein needs.
Okay. Okay. So we're going back into the cupboards. Let's see what we've got. Some Aztec ensalada. So what do we got here? Oh, just a small meal, big protein.
So it's like fish, beans, and corn. It's like ahi tuna, fish, beans, and corn.
And a cat food container.
All right. Don't open one of those cans. We'll every bobcat in the mountains will.
Okay, so
spice.
We got some spice.
Got to have cumin for your black beans.
Oh, I like that. That's one thing that I didn't think about when if I was going to do this exercise, I probably would have left out the spices. So
lots of spices, because you can just experiment and do things and make them. You can go gentle on them. I made some things that you can only eat when you're really hungry, but that's okay. Just get hungry.
Well, and the thing that I like about it is it's compact, it's light. but it can go a long ways.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got some more salt. It looks like we've got some more beans to add to the mix. And then
I thought you guys would get a kick out of that.
Yeah, well, that's good for your compost pile. That's where I put it. Let the microbes
But
eat it.
Jim, the astronauts drank it. I was thinking vitamin C, but okay.
Yeah, there's better ways to get vitamin C
all
than that. Artificial colors, flavors, and sugar you really want to avoid.
so we've got
So the other thing I thought about was maybe getting some Ensure or getting something like that, but what I ended up getting is something that would be a hydration thing, right? You're out here, you're mountain biking to go get water, you're carrying water, you're chopping wood all day, you're losing some of your minerals, and I thought
Hydration is critical. As a matter of fact, in the area of nutrition, it's water first, food second. You got to keep up the hydration because you'll be weak. So having that is important. And of course, now if this was for real, you know, my critique is I believe that when you do things, you do them for real. And it appears to me that we don't have any water in our jugs.
these are props.
I understand
but I'm okay with there not being water because I know that wait, I'm defending myself. You didn't ask me a question. Okay, sorry. Zip.
Well, no, I understand where you're going and having that, and we do have a stream here, but my question would then be, do you have a way to sanitize that water? Now, our streams up here are probably pretty darn good, but in an emergency situation where you don't have the ability to get to a medical clinic, you do not want dysentery. It will kill you.
Yeah.
And so Giardia, cryptosporidium, or those things, or amoebic dysentery, or one of those things will take you out. So water becomes a very critical area. That's one of the areas I focus in a great deal. We have a stream, perfect, great place to be, but I can't trust that water because I can't trust being able to get well of habit. So if you have a way to sanitize it, then that's great. Now, we do have a stove, you can boil it. How much fuel do you have?
I have 10 pounds of propane, but more importantly, I have a jerry can that has its own filtering system.
Okay, all right.
So what I was planning is that I would fill this up in some kind of water source, filter it, and transfer it to these other jugs.
Do you know to what level it filters?
I don't know.
Okay, you would like to have something that will take out, well, Giardia and cryptosporidium are easy to filter out. They're big. You know, they're 6 to 10 microns, and so it doesn't take one. But I want to get the bacteria out too. I'd like something that goes down to 0.2 micron. But if you're going to do that, you have to get all the silt out, so you need pre-filters and things like that. So there's a whole philosophy about that. But no, you're on the right track.
Okay.
And as far as our water goes here, it'll probably be just fine.
Okay.
As long as it'll filter out probably down to a 2 micron, 1 micron, you'd be fine.
one of the things that I really liked that you had in here, Mark, was
and I hope you're going to ask me why I have that in there.
Okay, let's find out. So, Mark, why did you bring the M&Ms? They're bulky. They're not too heavy, but
because when your life changes drastically and you have to adapt to a new circumstance, it makes it easier to have something to look forward to every day, right? And for different people, that would be different things, right? It could be meditation, or it could be reading a book, or it could be a treat, right? Like I talked to a guy who was a Navy SEAL, and he said you don't know how many times he opened up his MRE and just ate the candy in it, right?
Oh, wow.
Because he just needed the psychological benefit of doing that. There was something psychologically, what's the right term?
Well, it's comforting.
Comforting.
We think of it as comfort
Comforting.
food.
Yeah.
And I understand that concept, but it's a mindset. It's a mental training, and it's also what we're used to doing. You have to understand that 30 minutes after eating sugar, your immune system suppresses. And if we're in a situation like we are right now, you really don't want to be suppressing your immune system.
Sure.
And I understand comfort, and I kind of like those things, and I used to eat quite a bit of them, but I'm off sugar, and I'm better for it. Now I'm healing some things that needed to be healed. So sugar is to me is one of those things to watch out for.
So any alternatives that you could think of just aside from candy that would be,
But
they would because I like what
more importantly, like what do you think of the idea of just those little things that keep you sane,
that motivate you,
the little things to look forward to in a day when your entire world is turned upside down?
What motivates me, or what I would replace instead of this, is jerky, but not store-bought jerky because it's loaded with crap. Jerky that I would make, that's made with preferably grass-fed beef, would be the best one because it tastes good. When depends different way you season it. It's delicious. It's good for you, and that's my treat. Would be jerky or something like that.
Okay. All right.
push you till the end of the day to get that nice, delicious piece of jerky. Okay, so we've got more tuna, and we've got more tuna there in the back.
Tuna, fish, all good. Great things to have.
Okay, we've got matches. We've got 10 different flavors of lighters and they're from Maverick. And then
I want to see if you know what that is, Richard.
Oh, it's a knife sharpener.
I bet, yeah.
Whetstone.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we've got water bottles.
Which are really important. I think would have been easy to forget.
And then
for the protein.
bottle blender for the shake. And then what do we got here? Oh, and then a knife kit.
And cutting board.
Yep.
You got to be able to carve up that chipmunk that you
That's
caught
right.
with your deadfall.
That's right.
And then long matches.
Yep.
And let's move over here.
And let me, while you're getting that, oil is an extremely important thing. This is one of the very good healthy oils.
Okay.
First cold press, olive oil would be good. But the one that we've been trained to get away from is animal fat. Lard is good for you. The beef fat, those are good for you. Our brains are mostly fat. That's why sometimes you call people a fat head. But it is actually mostly the lipids that make up our nerves. And to stay healthy, you must have the fats. If you're on a low-fat diet, you're hurting yourself.
Did I bring enough oil? I was thinking that I should have supplemented that with another bottle of olive oil.
More would be better because, quite frankly, this is a very concentrated source of energy.
Yeah.
And here's one of the problems you have. If you're taking sugar and these things along with the oil, we're talking not good for you.
Yeah.
So by getting off the sugar, you can eat all the fats all the healthy fats that you want. Fat will not make you fat, and red meat will not give you a heart attack unless you have wheat and sugar to go along with it. That's deadly. And I could go into that for a couple hours on that one right there and prove it to you. But anyway, healthy fats are good.
Okay, so let's pull out what we have here. All right, so we've got Mark's favorite dude wipes.
Those are
This is a commercial.
Jim,
Here we
this
go.
is the greatest wipe in the history of mankind, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Okay, well, fine. That's good. And yes, that's a useful thing. You can make your own, by the way. But no, that's good. And
I'm not going to make my own, Jim.
personal hygiene really is an important thing to consider.
Right.
Now, you can get kind of grungy up here and all over, but there's a few private places you really want to keep clean and take care of because, you know, you got rashes, you got all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But also, one of the main ways that we spread illness from person to person is through fecal matter. And so letting any of those things get away from you and somebody else, that's how we spread some of our nastiest diseases, cholera, typhoid, dysentery kinds of things like that.
Yeah.
So yes, you should have that. Hygiene, important.
All right. So sunscreen.
Sunscreen. We got insect repellent.
Soap.
I stay away from bar soap because bar soap can spread disease.
Okay.
The bacteria are not killed on them. And by the way, don't use antimicrobial soaps. Those are a real problem. They're creating some problems with us. But if you use the liquid soaps that are more of a detergent, you don't contaminate them with something that may be on you, so you don't spread disease that way. So I would use liquid soaps that you pump or squeeze out.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So
And then
you want
powder.
to know what the thinking is behind that? So if you're, you know, an office worker and all of a sudden you're hiking around and you're like, you know, and you're on the move 24/7, right? Like you may need a little gulp on powder.
That's right.
Anyway.
So true.
And next, and then just utensils. Anything here, Jim, that we should?
No, those are all useful things, and you can. And again, if you're trying to save money when you're getting ready, you can go to the secondhand store and pick up things for
Right.
2 cents on the dollar
Right.
kind of a thing, and that's a good way to start.
Right.
Nice fancy things are good to have, and if you can, get them. My overall utensil again is back to this knife,
Right.
and if I don't have a spoon, I'll whittle one.
Right.
Or I'll make a spatula or anything like that. So
Right.
it's always going to be attached to me, so I can do that. But you have stuff laying around home, throw it in, have it. It's going to be
Okay. Richard, we have the real deal here right now. He's gonna whittle his own.
I know, right? He's gonna whittle his own spear to get something too for lunch. I'm getting hungry. Are you guys?
Yeah, where's it? Is there a good restaurant?
actually there's a very good one downtown.
Nice. All right.
And they're doing carry out or takeout. So
All right, we're in good shape. All right.
Okay, so this is what we have labeled as the medicine chest. So we've got multivitamins, we've got Dayquil, we've got some ointment, we've got some hydrogen peroxide, we've got some cough drops. Where's the bandages at? Ibuprofen.
Yeah, that would be in the first aid kit.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay. And then multivitamins. I'm really curious about Jim's take on the multivitamins. I just bought those 2 big things.
Yeah,
just to
well-
throw in as like if you're out here and you're eating rice and beans every day, you might need and M&Ms. You might need a multivitamin. Right?
something is better than nothing.
So should we move over to some of your tools, or do you got some other?
Yeah, we got more goods, man.
Okay.
You got to be able to cook those rice and beans in something, Richard.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
Well, first of all, he's going to be super interested about in that orange bin.
Oh yeah. Well, let's move this out of the way and you can pull that down there and let's take a look-see. And we're going to tear this place up, take him hours to get back in. Okay. Well, we have here a spray
Simple
bottle.
Green.
Okay, that's good. That's a pretty good product,
Okay.
actually. That does a good job there. And another one of those for cleaning.
Yeah.
Okay, the
Three
Castile
bottles?
soaps. Those are good. This will
Okay.
go a long ways. You're better
Yeah.
set than for 2 weeks.
This
but
might be
those-
even more than 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, those one of the
My wife
choice.
is very clean.
Okay, and some towels and ways of taking care of scrubbers and stuff like that. No, good idea. You actually want to have those things. And this goes back in part to both personal hygiene, but keeping your utensils and things clean like that. But the thing I'd always tell people is please be careful about where you dump out your wash water and things like that.
Right.
You know, not in water sources and not too much around plants or trees, because some of these things, now most of these are going to actually break down, won't be too bad. Your chemical detergents and things like that, they can be really hard on plants in concentration. They'll eventually break down,
Right.
but so spread them out. The plants will love some of those things. So yes, keeping clean, keeping things, what's this one, anything different?
I don't know. It's probably another Simple Green.
Another simple thing. Got lots of that. Well, keep things clean.
He's gonna start a trading post up here.
Yes. Simple Green for M&Ms.
No. These will be, the M&Ms and the Tang will be easier to trade off to get something like this.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
You want to go
That's
in
true.
that direction.
Let's do it the other way.
Now, since you mentioned about trading, one of the things to do is more in many of these cases is better than less, because there may be other people that are in trouble or
Right.
in need, or you can do this trading thing, this
Yeah.
bartering thing over time.
Right.
And we should be in a position as best we can to assist other people, but we have to also not put ourselves in a bind at the same time. So extra is a good idea because you can bless other people's lives.
Okay. All right. So a couple of cast iron pots, straight from a kettle, and then some plates and some drinking cups.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you need all the. Do you have a skillet here?
Yeah.
for
There's
frying? Okay.
there's one right back there. You see
Okay.
it?
All right. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you ought to have those things. Those are
Right.
Those are good to have, and good, durable, sturdy things.
Yeah.
Stay away from aluminum. It's a hideous thing to clean when it gets, you bake something on it. It's terrible.
Right.
The mess kits are. Cast iron, stainless are good things to use.
Okay.
Cure your cast iron, get used to using it. Then you don't need a lot of oil for it. Things won't stick to it very well at all. But do those kinds of things. All right, good. Nice. All right. Nice, clever little things. I like what I see here.
Okay, good.
I wouldn't mind having one. I may outfit it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. No M&Ms.
No M&Ms.
So Jim, was there anything glaring inside of the kitchen, or anything else that were kind of on your top 5 list that wasn't listed here?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you'd need more propane. I would have more propane than that. Yeah. Extra bottles of that, and of course more water. Now, the one thing that I didn't see, other than knowing what that filters to, and that would be another, water filtration and or backup filters. If you end up having to stay for a longer period of time, filters will clog. Now, the other thing about filters is they will generally not take out many viruses. And so I would like to have a backup way of chemically treating them. If I have any kind of suspicion of what's going on, I can always boil, but that takes fuel. So having chemical, chlorine is the overall most common one that you can use, but I don't want to drink a lot of chlorine, so I want to take it out with a carbon filter, some things like that. So, could things be a little bit better? But my comment, even before we look at more, is having done what you've done is way better than nothing's going to happen, I won't worry about it. And you're ahead of most people. If you say, well, I have a 72-hour kit, then I dare you to live with nothing but that quote-unquote 72-hour kit.
Okay,
and
speaking
else.
So one of the other things that, Jim, it's kind of amazing, all the stuff that I have never noticed until that earthquake. It happens that if I look out of my office window, across the street from Emergency Essentials. They're right across the street from our office and plant. And so I got this. That's also a prop, Richard, because they're sold out on that, right? But that is 2 weeks of protein and some other stuff. And what are your thoughts on these kind of kits? That would have a lot more food. It's a prop because they just don't have any more left.
Well, I'll tell you what, the typical 72-hour kit that you buy, I call it a refugee kit. That gives you something that you can carry.
This is actually a 2-week. Oh, look at the filter.
Yeah, so it's got
this is actually a 2-week. It's got 28,000 calories. It's a 2-week kit.
But what you'll find is, and this reason I call this a refugee kit, because it has enough so you can go stand in line with 5,000 unhappy people trying to get into the auditorium. You can go join with them. Now, here again, and you'll find out what I mean by that if you take, like, even now in pretty good weather, take that, and people say, well, I don't want to use it up because it's, no, you better use it up now, because when you're trying to make a life out of that thing, and you thought you were taken care of, and now when it ain't going well, and let's say you're the dad, and you bought one of these for the whole family, and the kids are in trouble, and your wife is in trouble, and you're going like, I thought I had this thing covered because I bought one of these kits. You just lost both credibility, but you also lost hope. And here's the thing that will kill people more than anything else. It's not what you have or don't have, it's what's in terms of material things, it's what's in your head, it's your attitude. Your attitude will kill you faster than anything else. And when you decide, I don't know what to do, I don't know how I'm going to make it, you already have one foot in the grave. If you don't straighten out or somebody come along to help you, you're in trouble. So that's why I say, if you say, I'm prepared, prove it to yourself. Just prove it to yourself. And those are, I noticed it probably has a tube tin in there, and it's got a space blanket in there. I have whole videos on those things. Sleep in one of them things tonight. I dare you. I dare you to stay in it.
See how much fun that is?
You'll know what it's like.
Okay, so let's move over.
This is me getting creative.
Okay. Well, we do have the ability to charge the solar, and we have a battery and some of those things, and inverters, so you can run some AC. Nice thing to have. Not on the necessity. You have the necessity and you have the nicety. So this is nicety, and it would allow you to gather some more wood. And
so this is the sail and the awning on your sailboat that you were talking about, right?
That's right. This would be a nice thing to have. The thing you have to understand about this, we're going for a lifeboat. It's not lifestyle, it's life first. So you do the things that take care of your life, and then you start adding to them.
Yeah. So one of the other reasons besides gathering firewood, if you're trying to get away, if you're and you come across a fallen tree,
that's right.
Like this is a much faster way to dispatch it than
it is. Now the cheaper way to dispatch it would actually be a little lower cost. I mean, this is inexpensive. This is more expensive.
Right.
So it's a gasoline powered chainsaw.
Yes.
That's going to be a less expensive option to saw with, and most people would have that. And you know, I've chopped a lot of trees with axes, and I can do that too. It's just really slow.
Right.
I understand that.
And then hauling the fuel if you were going to have a gas chainsaw.
You know, this is a nicety, but you have the A, B, C's. This is a C, but it's great to have if you can have it once you've taken care of other things.
All right. So this is a little portable fire pit, Jim, that I bought. It rolls up basically like a chair, and it'll allow you to either grill on it, and also you can just have it for a fire pit.
That can be a nice thing to have. I can find some rocks and some wood, and so I can make a fire pit and do that. So again, in terms of cost, I don't want people to think I have to have these wonderful things.
Right.
Get these later on. Nothing wrong with it, but it's not one of those things you go like, oh, I gotta have that. Yeah. It's like these stupid phones. I mean, wonderful.
Take over from this so I can figure out what.
Wonderful phones.
I'll be right back, Jim.
But you know, everybody's going like, I want the latest, greatest, and all the whiz bangs and those kinds. It's a phone. And yes, it does some other things, which is really nice. So trying to say I'm going to need to go spend the latest, which is $1,500 on one of these things, it's like, ouch. I need to put in some black beans and some rice and a few other things first before I would spend money on that. So that's kind of like this. This is one of those things that's nice, and if money's no issue, do it. But don't think you have to have things. Take care of life and then go for lifestyle.
Okay. Awesome. All right, so we're going to move over to, I think, just clothing. So down jacket, rain jacket, rain pants, one extra pair of jeans, quick drying jeans, waterproof shoes, insulated waterproof boots.
Okay. Generally, in most conditions, that would be okay, except I'd lose the down.
Okay.
When down gets wet, and I'm doing, in fact, I was invited to write a chapter in a book right now on hypothermia, and down nearly killed me. Oh, wow. But there's an old story behind that in there. So down is beautiful material if you can keep it dry, but if you're in questionable conditions, then it's going to get wet, particularly in the spring, summer, sleety, rainy kinds of things, or warm winter conditions. So all synthetic fibers and fabrics will do better than the down. They're generally going to be cheaper. Yeah. You know, so that would be my only comment in that. And the polyesters are wonderful things.
And also my personal toiletries. That's what I would, you know, if you have like medications or anything that you need, that's where you would.
You have those things, and you keep those things in a separate bag. Now in my van that I brought up here, I have a bunch of things that are thrown in it. Right. Because I had to go down a little rescue mission yesterday, and so I just tossed things in there because I assume we come back. Obviously we did, but I want to have things ready to go at any time. And
so part of this is
communication.
I have a couple of GMRS radios, right, and a license to actually operate.
Yep.
Right?
Good thing to have.
Which you don't have to learn anything. You just have to apply for a license.
That's right. And it's $10 now, I think is what it is, or something like that. Renew it every 10 years or something.
Right. And then the ability to charge that with either inside the trailer because of the solar, because of the different USB ports, and also on the Gold Zero. Right.
Useful thing to have to stay in touch with your people around you.
Yep.
However, also realize that those are open channels and it's not private, so it depends on what's going on. You may want to be open or maybe not.
Okay. All right, so if we move over here, tools. So this is my grab and go tool bag. It's got wrenches, it's got lights, it's got a socket kit. And then this is kind of my bungee cord, zip tie, wire, strap box.
How much duct tape do you have?
I have a lot of duct tape.
Okay, good. Duct tape,
Yeah.
wonderful thing. Now, if we're talking
Right.
to the ladies, they'll want to have hot glue.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
But it's hard. By the way, you can still
Right.
use hot glue because I can melt it with a candle and stick things together.
Oh,
but
nice.
duct tape is a very useful thing to have.
Yeah. First aid kit
Now, I have that.
and rope.
Right?
Binoculars.
Any 550 cord?
No.
That's one of the very useful things to have is, get that by the 1,000-foot spool.
Yeah.
If you're out trying to live in this environment, you're going to find you need to tie things down and put them together and wreck them and all kinds of things. Just 550 cord is a wonderful thing to have. It's not very expensive, and you can do a lot of stuff with it. Lash things together, build a tower if you want, whatever it is. But I'd have lots of 550 cord, and I get the mil spec. I want the real stuff.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll have to look and see what that is. All right. My batteries. Right. I have a gob of light because we're mountain bikers. I have a gob of lights.
What are you using those batteries for?
Those are for headlamps.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure I've got some other stuff in here that requires batteries. So binoculars, my everyday carries are, and I wish I'd brought more old man, what I call old man glasses, right? Because you could, you're working with your hand, you could easily, or ammo or guns or knives, and you're not, if I don't have my old man glasses, I could definitely hurt myself.
Right, and if you lose them, and I have, spare one in the pocket here because I need to be able to see up close because, I'm old man. No, you're a young man, I'm old man.
Yeah, but I have old man eyes.
Oh, well, I got older man eyes.
Yeah, okay.
No, take and think of those things in terms of backup to backup to backup.
Yeah.
So
these are my everyday carries like you. I have, one of these, and then I also have kind of my
multi-tool
thing. So if I'm out riding the bike somewhere, I can, have some tools.
Do you know what the most important part of this knife is?
What's that? The toothpick? Oh,
the lanyard.
Oh, okay.
The lanyard ring on is the most important thing because when you're out here, now you have some backup, but again, mine is always tied to me because if I drop it and I lose it, I've lost one of my important tools. And if it's in the winter, in the snow, it disappears. Okay,
so a couple things. I wanted to show you this knife. This knife has been collecting dust for about 25 years under my bed. And this is actually my wife's grandfather's knife. And during the Depression, he had to, during the summers, to sustain himself, he and his wife had to move to the mountains and fish and hunt and live off the land. And this is the knife that he used to do that. And something that I ignored and didn't cherish for 25 years or longer, I see in a different light today.
Yeah, good. A large blade can be useful. Get a quality one. I don't recommend everybody strap them to their hip and go around like they're a mountain man or something, but it's a very useful tool for doing some big things. That's a great way to split wood when you're trying to deal with it, because you can take this knife and put it on a fairly substantial piece of wood, and then just using another piece of wood on the back, I can beat that through a log, and I can split wood if I don't have an axe or something like that. So it's a very good thing to have. Take care of them. And keep them sharp. Be sure you have a sharpening stone, which I saw you had, although I prefer a diamond hone over the carborundums.
All right, the last thing one other thing I want to talk about. Let's walk over here real quick because I know this is a big subject to you.
You're going to answer one of the questions I had.
So these bags have a powder in them that solidify your waste, and then I was thinking that you just bury them somewhere far away from your camp.
You could do that if we're in a temporary situation and you're going to go back. Then I would take them back and dispose of them. But yes, they could be buried because actually the human waste wants to go into the ground. Oh, by the way, I wouldn't put the urine in there. You don't right. These trees would love it. They're begging for that. Right. The nitrogen that's in the water.
I would be happy to oblige them.
Okay, you took care of one of my questions I had.
All right. Last thing here. I'm going to show you one of the two matched pairs, because I'm not going to, for purposes of this video, I'm not going to show you the other part of the match pair, but in talking to some people that have not, where disaster and chaos is not a theory for them, right. They've actually experienced it, is that when society breaks down, people, the strong, go after the weak to take their stuff. So we could prepare all this stuff and have a chainsaw and a gold zero, and conditions get bad enough, somebody's going to come and try to get it without some kind of a deterrent.
That's right. And that is one of the things, I know some people, they just don't even want to go there with that. Well,
my wife would be one of those.
But you want to be, well, it doesn't like everybody has to think that way, but you need somebody around you or a group around you that thinks that way. So to me, one of the most important things to do is develop community. Now, this is set up, okay, this is a two-man kind of a thing, and that's great up here, but I would rather be up here with 2 or 3 or 4 other, I'll say, families or groups that would be here. Maybe they have the trailer, maybe they don't, but people that I trust and that I know that I have their back, they have my back, because one of the challenges you have in this idea of people coming up here, there might be several of them, and you can't stay awake 24/7 to guard the area. So one of the things that we try to teach everybody is community, community, community. And you want to develop that community, because being alone is challenging. And if you're going to be alone, you have to be so far away and so remote that nobody's probably going to show up. Or anybody that does show up, they know what they're doing, and they're probably not a big threat.
Right.
But in a setting like this, now we're generally pretty good because we're from a major, civilization. Right. We're, a couple hours away by car. Right. You're a long ways away by foot, so that helps. It'll filter out a lot of people, but still eventually some of them may show up. Yeah. And so I would rather have a group rather than being by myself. It's about being prepared to respond, not react. Right. What happens is if people are, desperate people do desperate things, all those things, and now you're afraid and things, and people get reactive. And you don't want to be reactive, you want to be responsive. I want to be responding to a situation, and response will imply that I've learned how to respond. So the one thing about weapons is this: know how to use them, and that doesn't mean I know which end to point. That means if you are not willing to take a course from a good trainer, don't own one.
Right. On that note, Jim, I want to thank you. This has been really informative, and hopefully this has been worthwhile to those people that follow us on Bean, and if it wasn't, it was really informative and useful to me, and I'm sure to you guys. So anyway, thanks a lot, and until next time, stay safe. Thanks, Jim.
You're welcome. My pleasure.